We're back, and now we're going to go through how to add in and animate 3D devices in After Effects. Here's just a few examples of previous work where I use this kind of technique for presenting my work, demonstrating augmented reality concepts, parallax effects, and entire flows to make it more interesting and appealing. And the plugin we're going to use is called Element 3D, created by Video Copilot. And as you can see on the website here, you can create so much stuff with this powerful plugin. And unfortunately, not all things in the world are free, so this one is actually going to cost you some, but it's definitely going to be worth it if you are into VFX, 3D animation, or anything in this area, because it's very powerful and really game-changing when it comes to presenting your work. We're now in After Effects, and first off, I added in some assets here that you're gonna get access to in the link in the description, so definitely check that out to follow along. Now I'll go in and add a new composition to this. I'm gonna name it Main. I'm gonna have a 1600 by 1200, that's a high quality dribble shot, 60 frames, and then also 30 seconds duration for this time. And then we'll hit OK. And then I'll move that to the composition folder. And now we go up into Layer, New, and Solid. And then we can name this 3D device. And this is just gonna add in an object for us to add in the 3D model into. Doesn't matter what color you have, it's just gonna be there. So now we move over to the right side in the effects panel, search for Element. So under Video Copilot, double click it to apply. And then we'll go into the actual 3D plugin by clicking Scene Setup. So this is the interface, and this is all about adding in devices or objects that's previously already modeled. This is all about just adding in textures and animating. So let's go up into Import, and we're gonna now browse one of the devices. So here we have it imported. You can rotate and move around and look around how everything looks like. But now we're gonna add in texture to this because it's all in clay and nothing. So let's go into the first panel named Scene. So here we will see a folder structure of this 3D object. The first one is the screen, where we're gonna add in the UI motion flow in later. Then in the bottom, we have all the components of the device. So let's click the first layer here, front and camera glass. And then we go up in the next panel. Under basic settings, we can choose the color. Let's choose red or black or whatever you want, and then click OK. And now when we have added in this first material, we can actually go down here in the material area and drag this one and drop it to any other component. So that's just now going to duplicate to that one. And now we can go into this panel and you explore all the parameters here to see what kind of style we want it to look like. There's no rules, just go wild here and drag things up and down, select colors, choosing illumination, refraction, reflectivity. A lot of words, but just go in here and do anything you want to get the look that you want. So in this case, I'm pretty happy with the black. I'm just going to drag this to literally all the components of this device. And then when I've done so, I can then click OK to go back to After Effects. So there we now have it, and we can now add in the background here just to get some contrast. Let's go in, add in the racetrack. This is actually from a previous project, Formula 1 Future. And if you click in the top corner here, you can see the top highlights of that full live stream I had with Brandon a couple of weeks ago, where I animate this entire flow more in detail. Now I'm dragging this to the bottom, and now we see the device is very small. So click the 3D device layer, and then we go back to the scene setup. Let's click the entire main folder, and then on the right area, you go into scale, and we can change this to 220% or something like that, and see how that looks like, and that's much better. And then we'll go back to the layers, and now we want to add in the actual UI animation into this composition. I'm doing that by first adding in the motion flow into this. I place it anywhere and then hide it. Then we go back to the 3D device layer and click on effects. And then we go down to custom layers. Then we click custom texture maps. And then on the first one, layer 1, you go into drop down and you can now see that UI motion flow. Select it. And now we have linked it on this part, but we need to go back to the scene setup to link it in the actual component. So here we're back, and now we're gonna select the screen layer in the first group. And then we put our focus on the last panel and select and diffuse under texture, click non-set. And here we're going to click the drop down arrow, and now you're going to see that specific UI name here. So click that one, and now it will show up in the device. So we're done, and we click OK to get back, and here we now have the flow inside of the screen. And now it's all about the fun beginning. You can animate this in any way you want and time it to the flow, zoom in and zoom out, rotation in any direction. So let's do some of this now. Go into World Transform and then World Rotation. You click X, Y, and Z rotation. Let's do all three here and add in keyframes to your timeline. You can click U to see all of them, and now you just do one in and out point here. Let's start in the beginning, and let's say we want this to come up from the bottom with rotation, almost like you're putting the phone in front of you. We want it to rotate from left to right, and then also doing some rotation in the Z axis. And then we go back to the panel here and add in world position X and Y. And that's going to add in so we can move it from bottom to the top. So same here, add an in and out point keyframe, and then in the first one, let's move it down out of frame. And then just a quick tip of you to adjusting your work area, the area you want to render or preview, you can use B or N on your keyboard. So now I'm just going to go in and select all the keyframes here and add some easings. You can do this all with manual curves, but I do it here with my Motion 2 plugin, which is really handy. So after that is done, let's preview and see how this looks like. The device come up from the bottom to the top, does some rotation, actually very good time to the motion. And also for demonstration's sake, let's add in some other rotation here as a second sequel. Go in on the rotation Y, in and out point, and we want this to return one lap. Go select them, add in the same easing, and now we're gonna see how that looks like in the end. So this was the basic of this, and I'll leave this to you to keep exploring and add in layers of cameras and lighting and whatever you want for your specific scene. I'd love to see what you come up with, so be sure to hit me up on Instagram at Velgraf. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up to help me out on the YouTube land. And as always, subscribe for more, and I'll see you very soon again.